Mississippi River in the Quad Cities. And then my mom and dad were from that area, and my mom and dad split when I was about 3, and she got with my stepdad when I was 5 or so, and they had my siblings, so I am the oldest of 4. It's me, and then my brother Troy, my brother Brian, and my sister Alexis. So we moved up into like the Chicagoland area, and we lived there most of our childhoods. I ended up moving back to the Quad City area for a little while because my dad was still there, and then moved back up to Chicagoland. So me and Troy are still in the Midwest. He lives in kind of like a more rural suburb of Chicago. And so, but he does work in the city, so he has to go to Chicago every day. And then Brian and Alexis ended up, when my mom and stepdad split after all the kids were grown, their dad, so my stepdad lived in Fort Myers, and my sister and brother moved out there for a few years with him to Fort Myers. So I've been to Fort Myers, and it's gorgeous. I love Fort Myers. I would vacation there anytime. Live there, I don't know if I'd live there, but I would vacation there anytime. I don't think I could do that humid heat, all year, or I'm sure it's not all year, but it's most of the year, right? So after Fort Myers, my sister moved to LA, where she still resides, LA. And my brother Brian, that was in Fort Myers, lives in Fort Lauderdale. And they've both been living there for a few years, but I have not been to either place. So I have not been to LA, and I have not been to Fort Lauderdale ever. Are they on my list? Yes, but in the course of all this, I've had my youngest. I used to travel all the time. But we had the baby, and then with COVID and everything, it's just, I used to probably travel quarterly, and now annually is what I'm back to probably for a few years. I know it stinks. So my sister's LA, Brian is Fort Myers. Brian lives and works in Fort Myers, I believe, and then my sister, she lives in LA, and she kind of does like work on like fashion stuff, so she's in a good place to do that. If you ask me exactly what they do, I do not know. I don't understand any of it. I don't understand other people's jobs very well, So that said, my mom, she stayed in Chicagoland, so she was with near me and Troy for a long time. And then a few years ago, she ended up going to, my aunt lives in Colorado, and I've always had some family in Colorado, so she ended up, we would vacation in Colorado, and she ended up moving out there. Her job did transfer. Like, how lucky is that? Her job transfer, so she can work from, she was out in Schaumburg area near Chicago, and now she's out in the Denver area. And I have been out to her new house several times. She has a really nice house out there. I love it. And the way her neighborhood is, it's like the houses are built kind of staggered, so everybody in her neighborhood has a really nice view of the mountains. It's super nice out there. My real dad lives in So for like a year, he was in like a 2-bedroom apartment, and now he's since got a house out there, and we have not made it out there either. So hopefully we can make it out there soon, even if I have to drive. I don't know what the best way to do it with the baby is. So my dad and stepmom are there, and then my stepdad and his wife are now in Arizona. I don't know what part of Arizona, and we have not been out there. And she has 3 teenagers, 3 triplet teenagers. Isn't that cool? And probably very, very rough, right? 1 at a time is hard. 3 at a time. So, she has 3 triplet teenagers, and then the woman that my dad married. Like this is a lot of people, right? She has one in like I think some other part of Iowa, one of her kids, and then she has twins. So her twins, and they're identical. And there's one out here by me, and there's one kind of out in I think Ukrainian Village in Chicago. So and then the man that my mom is currently married to, he has his own bio children, but he also has his previous wife. He married a woman. She is deceased now, that already had children, and he treats them like his own. So they're spread out too. They're in Colorado mostly, but there's some in Iowa and Illinois because my mom knew him. My whole family knows him from growing up in the same town. So there's some of his kids I think still live out here, but I don't know them, which is weird, right? Do any of you have like this crazy of a family dynamic? But it's good because if you have step parents, right, and they were part of raising you, I don't think that should end your relationship with them. Like, who cares if you're their bio kid or not? If they raised you, you guys have a relationship, unless they were terrible to you, then that's your ticket out. But so that is my situation where we are all at now. Now, in like this area, I have one living grandparent left, and luckily she only lives like 15 minutes from me, and where I'm moving in a few weeks, she'll only be about like less than 10 minutes from me, so I'm hoping I get to see her even more. I mean, currently I do get to see her a lot because we see her like once a week, or well, she has vertigo pretty bad now, so sometimes it's less than once a week because we were going to church. I was just going because I love to see my grandma. To be honest, it's not that I'm not religious or spiritual. It's just churches these days say some stuff that I find pretty out there. But anyway, so I have one grandma that's really close, lives right close to me. That's it for grandparents. That's all I have left. And like my aunts and uncles, we got Nebraska, we got Texas, we have Colorado, Nebraska, Texas, Colorado, and then I have an aunt and uncle locally. I do talk to that aunt, that uncle, not so much. Things just got a little weird over the past several years politically between all of us, so that is that. And then I have cousins everywhere now. If we're talking cousins, I do have some local cousins, and I have cousins in Texas, and one of my cousins actually moved pretty much almost next door to my mom, like a few houses down from my mom temporarily while they're getting a house built, and they just had a baby, so my mom gets to help. She goes over there and helps out sometimes with the baby, which I'm super jealous of because I'm stuck out here in Iowa with no help. Alright. Cousins. But the cousin that just moved in with her for a while, he was living in San Francisco, and I really wish I would have had a chance really, and then some areas are like, be careful. Like, that's fine. That's most places these days. I don't know what people mean when they say that. I still want to see San Francisco. I think that's it as far. Oh, yeah, nobody's out in Wyoming anymore, but for a long time we did have some family out in Wyoming, which was pretty. No, I do. I have a cousin that's still in Wyoming. Think I have one cousin now that just moved to Peoria, and one in like the Champaign Urbana area. So those are semi-local. I mean, they're a day trip away, but what I have out east, I think everybody ended up heading, besides like Fort Lauderdale, it sounds like everybody ended up heading west. And ideally, I would love to head to the Pacific Northwest. Like, that is my dream goal, but it's expensive. It is expensive out there. Portland, Seattle area, Portland or Seattle area, or even like more towards the beaches. But everybody's like, oh, it rains so much. It doesn't. I took a tour when I was out. I don't remember if it was when I was in Portland or in Seattle, but they did address the rain. I think that was Seattle. They did address the rain issue, and they said that Chicago gets the same amount of rain. Why does it seem like Seattle gets all the rain? Is because it mists, so it takes longer for the amount of rain to fall, and Chicago might get like a downpour. So we could get, an inch in this amount of time, where, Seattle, that would take a longer amount of time. I don't know how to explain it. So yes, that's where I have, that's all the places I have family, which makes it nice because, you could do a lot of traveling. Like, at first, when all your family starts moving away, you get sad, but after you realize that means you can go different places, you don't have to get a hotel, then you can learn to accept it. So yeah, tell me where you're from, or if you have siblings that live in some cool towns that you visited.